Nonetheless, Geno talked about Caitlin Clark again and sort of gave some backhanded compliments. Like he talked about how she connects to the audience, which was good. He talked about how she's tough, like Paige Beckers. He threw Paige in there as
Geno Auriemma, the legendary head coach from UConn, finds himself in a tough spot after Caitlin Clark declined his offer years ago. Once dismissing her as not having the right skills for the WNBA, he's now watching her lead Iowa to basketball greatness, proving him wrong on the biggest stage. The missed opportunity has not only cost him millions, but also the chance to be part of a historic journey. No championship trophy can erase that kind of regret.
She talks a lot of shit on the court. All right, believe me. You know, when people talk about in WNBA, why are these people beating up Caitlin Clark? Because she talks a lot of shit.
Instead of admitting his mistake, Geno Auriemma doubled down during a podcast appearance. While he offered a few half-hearted compliments to Caitlin Clark, he couldn't resist slipping in some petty jabs. It's a classic move fueled by ego, a reminder that even legends aren't immune to missteps.
going out of his way to, first he's like saying she connects to people, and he could have left it at that, I guess. But he almost goes on to put the, reverse some of that discourse, try to put it in others' laps because of Caitlin Clark's trash talk.
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is cementing her place in history, all while living rent-free in Geno's head. She's doing it entirely on her own terms, without any help from UConn or its legendary coach.
This kid, she's fearless. She just plays. She just is like a little kid in, in his driveway playing with her friends. Yeah, she's unique in that way. But in terms of what she's doing, people have short memory. Yeah, I've seen it before.
But Geno didn't stop there. He took a deeper dive into what makes Caitlin Clark stand out in today's basketball world, her fearlessness. He pointed out that many players today hesitate, weighed down by the fear of missed shots, bad decisions, or the relentless spotlight of social media. The constant scrutiny and blame have pushed many athletes to play it safe, avoiding risks that could hurt their team or damage their reputation. While Geno acknowledged Caitlin's rare mindset and incredible talent, he kept his praise measured. With a knowing look, he reminded everyone that people have short memories, hinting at the fickleness of public opinion. Despite his respect for her game, he wasn't ready to crown her the greatest player just yet, though his years on the sidelines have given him a front-row seat to true greatness.
Here is the beginning of the conversation.
The women's game. So if I think sometimes people get confused over the last 18 months, maybe over 2 years, that they think it was a rocket, that you all jumped on Caitlin Clark's back and went straight up. But you've been there at the beginning of the ride, so to speak.
Geno couldn't resist bringing Paige Buchers into the conversation as well. According to him, Caitlin Clark and Buchers share a similar toughness, a not-so-subtle reminder not to overlook his own star player while everyone is raving about the one who turned him down. It was about as subtle as a neon sign. Still, Geno's biggest misstep was underestimating Clark's value. Caitlin, on the other hand, continues to prove she's something truly special. Fearless and driven, Geno likened her approach to a kid shooting hoops in the driveway, playing purely for the love of the game. She doesn't overthink, and she doesn't let the fear of failure hold her back. She just plays. And that, Geno admitted, is a rare quality in today's basketball world.
Then we send them up to the WNBA, and then they have something good to work with, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. So it still comes back to those of us that are in charge of the game. Are we making the game better every day? Are we making our players better?
To top it off, Geno downplayed Caitlin Clark's role in the growth of women's sports. While he acknowledged her influence, he framed it as just one piece of a larger, inevitable evolution, because heaven forbid he admit that Clark's meteoric rise is the driving force behind the current explosion of women's basketball. When asked about Caitlin's jaw-dropping performances, Geno's response was a mix of admiration and tempered realism. "Yeah, she's doing amazing things," he said, but quickly added, "Let's not forget, I've seen this kind of greatness before." To prove his point, he brought up a moment from his coaching history, recalling a team he led with 2 freshmen and 2 players who had never started a game before. That squad didn't just compete, they won a national championship. It wasn't a one-player show, he emphasized, but a testament to the contributions and poise of a whole group, which he described as groundbreaking in its own right.
Geno Auriemma could be the reason why Caitlin Clark is definitely not joining the unrivaled 3-on-3 basketball league. We finna unpack it all right here.
Let's unpack it all right here. Geno Auriemma, the master coach, part-time businessman, and full-time expert at putting his foot in his mouth, has hit another snag. Caitlin Clark wants nothing to do with his much-hyped, so-called unrivaled 3-on-3 basketball league. And honestly, Geno might have only himself to blame for that. Let's rewind. This league was pitched as a game-changer. Big investors, lofty ambitions, and a major January launch. The buzz was real, fueled largely by fans hoping to see Caitlin Clark, the college basketball sensation, take the court. But Clark isn't biting. She's opting out entirely, leaving Geno and the league scrambling to find another star to fill the massive void.
Chill, man. But that is not the case. Many people want Caitlin Clark to join this league to possibly, play basketball, be more entertainment for her. But now many Caitlin Clark fans took to Twitter to actually poke fun at Geno Auriemma. Let's pull up some.
So, why would Caitlin Clark pass up such an amazing opportunity? Let's take a step back and revisit Geno's infamous PR disaster on The Dan Patrick Show. In a shining example of his wisdom, Geno called Clark's fanbase delusional for even suggesting she could dominate the WNBA, but he didn't stop there. He doubled down, claiming she lacked the physicality to succeed at the professional level. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, he threw in some not-so-subtle jabs about how stupid her fans were for hyping her up as the next Diana Taurasi. Great strategy, Geno. Insult the biggest draw in women's basketball and her fiercely loyal supporters in one go. Unsurprisingly, Clark doesn't seem eager to align herself with his league or his brand anytime soon.
Doesn't need to play for that whack job. She should just buy a rival league. Exactly. Kayla getting that type of bag. CC probably isn't this vindictive, but if it was me, if they wanted me outside, I'll demand a full retraction and apology from Geno for his comments on the Dan Patrick.
Twitter has turned into a battlefield of sarcasm and mockery over Geno Auriemma's handling of Caitlin Clark. Why would Caitlin Clark want to play for someone who doesn't think she can handle physical contact? One fan asked. Another chimed in, suggesting she should just buy the league and rename it Unrivaled Genius. Ouch, the situation isn't helped by the fact that Geno isn't just a distant advisor to the league, he's a part owner. And now, his involvement feels like a massive red flag. Caitlin's decision to avoid the league isn't just about protecting her body, it's a clear response to Geno's past comments. She doesn't need his league, and she definitely doesn't want to face the backlash of aligning with someone who publicly downplayed her talent. Meanwhile, the league is still gearing up for its big January launch, but without Clark, it's looking more like a belly flop than a splash. Geno probably thought he was untouchable, but his poorly timed comments are coming back to haunt him, leading to empty seats and fading buzz. Let's not forget the root of it all, that disastrous appearance on the Dan Patrick Show. Geno went full scorched earth on Clark's fanbase, calling them delusional and even stupid for suggesting she could dominate in the WNBA. And just to top it off, he offered his expert analysis, claiming she lacked the physicality for the league and would struggle with its demands. Insulting the most marketable star in women's basketball? Genius business strategy, right? Now he's paying the price.
Has better things to do. Why does he want a player he doesn't think has the physical?
Geno Auriemma isn't exactly having the best time these days. Caitlin Clark, the golden child of college basketball, apparently turned down his vision, and possibly his entire league, depending on who you ask. For Geno, it's not just about basketball, it's about the millions he could have made if Clark had lived up to the massive hype surrounding her. When Clark entered the WNBA, fans were already calling her the league's savior before she even set foot on a professional court. The betting odds even pegged her as a potential MVP. Geno, of course, saw this as a golden opportunity, a new face for the league, endless endorsements, and, let's be honest, a huge boost to his own brand. But reality? Well, it had other plans.
you're a great college player, like Caitlin was, the delusional fan base that follows her disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go in that league and tear it apart. There were actually odds on she's third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP at a W.
Geno Auriemma isn't exactly having the best time these days. Caitlin Clark, the golden child of college basketball, apparently turned down his vision, and possibly his entire league, depending on who you ask. For Geno, it's not just about basketball. It's about the millions he could have made if Clark had lived up to the massive hype surrounding her. When Clark entered the WNBA, fans were already calling her the league's savior before she even set foot on a professional court. The betting odds even pegged her as a potential MVP. Geno, of course, saw this as a golden opportunity, a new face for the league, endless endorsements, and, let's be honest, a huge boost to his own brand. But reality? Well, it had other plans.
Handling this.
I think she's handling great. I think she talks a lot of and she gets a lot of back. So she deserves everything she gets because she gives it as good.
Now, Geno is venting about the delusional fans who've hyped Caitlin Clark to impossible levels. He claims WNBA players are targeting her, not just on the court, but emotionally, feeling disrespected by how she's dominated them from day one. And let's not forget his comments about Clark not being built for the league. He says she's neither quick nor tough enough to handle the WNBA's physicality, which honestly sounds like a nice way of saying, she's making me look bad. Meanwhile, Geno watches as the millions tied to Clark's rookie season slip away faster than her defenders can double-team her. The branding, the partnerships, the legacy building, all fading. Instead of celebrating her as the next Diana Taurasi, Geno's stuck defending himself and explaining why the hype surrounding her isn't his fault. Then there's Paige Buchers. She announced she's staying in college for another year, and Geno can't hide his mix of pride and panic. Sure, he'll have her at UConn for one more season, but he knows she'll face the same tough reality when she eventually enters the league. That's another potential hit to his wallet, and as if it couldn't get worse, someone called Caitlin Clark the White Larry Bird, and Geno couldn't roll his eyes hard enough. He criticized society's obsession with cheap comparisons, but didn't seem too upset when those same comparisons worked in his favor.